your host, SonGoshuaku here. Number 9, Iyo Sky versus Bianca Belair. The bottom entry of this match ranking list kicks off with arguably the number 1 moment from SummerSlam. After Charlotte and Asuka are laid out with the briefcase by Bayley, then Bayley herself is laid out by Bianca Belair, we get Iyo using the briefcase to hit Bianca in her injured leg, thus setting up the match. Technically, since the bell did ring. So the match kicks off with Iyo Sky doing that beautiful moonsault to the unconscious injured Bianca Belair to score the 1, 2, 3 and become the new WWE Women's Champion in more or less a 26-second match. Yeah, this was hardly a match, but having attended the event live, I can honestly say this moment blew the roof off of Ford Field, especially with the emotional embraces from Bayley and Dakota Kai to Iyo. It was just so great to see, considering where Damage Control started at SummerSlam 2022 and where they ended up by SummerSlam 2023. Like I said, if I was ranking this based on SummerSlam moments, then this would be the top of the list. However, because I am ranking it based on matches, the fair thing to do is put this at the very bottom of the list, but that in no way takes away from how awesome of a moment this was. Number 8. Shayna Baszler versus Ronda Rousey. Now, I'm a fan of Shayna Baszler, I'm a fan of Ronda Rousey, and I'm even a fan of both pro wrestling and mixed martial arts. So, why does this match rank so low on this list? Well, it fell flat. And that's because mimicking MMA's legitimate nature of combat competition within the confines of the predetermined but physical nature of pro wrestling isn't always going to translate well to its audience, especially if you're not familiar with MMA, which is why I believe the audience chanted boring throughout the match. Even the section that I was sitting in at Ford Field, I saw fans on both sides of the aisle walking away to the concession stands and the bathrooms during this match. The match itself, I felt, doesn't even translate well to MMA fans, as a lot of parts of this match look more like two training partners sparring than actually competitively fighting. There were even spots that took place during this match where, had they occurred in an actual MMA fight, the ref would have already called an end to the fight. Now, there were some nice spots in this match that hybrid fans like myself of pro wrestling and MMA could appreciate, plus Shayna getting the 100% clean technical submission win over Ronda Rousey was certainly the right outcome. Despite this match not sticking the landing, as a fan of both these ladies, I'm glad Shayna's win is putting her in a position to hopefully be pushed back to the absolute beast she was in both NXT and early on the main roster. As for Ronda and this possibly being the end of her in WWE, while this second run was not as good, aside from a great I Quit match with Charlotte Flair and a few other moments/matches, her first run was still fantastic and led the women to the main event of WrestleMania. For that alone, she has earned a worthy future WWE Hall of Fame induction. Number 7, the Slim Jim Battle Royal. Let me talk to ya, because there was only one reason the majority of us fans cared about this Battle Royal, and that was LA Knight. Yeah! As I mentioned in my review, TV does not do it justice to how super over LA Knight is. This Battle Royal had some entertaining moments, especially from LA Knight himself, and him picking up the win was one of those rare cases nowadays where WWE listens to the live audience's positive reaction and high merch sales for a particular talent who got over despite WWE not pushing them. Also, if you grew up as a 90 kids like me watching WWE back in its WWF days, how could the post-match Slim Jim commercial not bring a smile to your face, as it not only highlighted LA Knight and Bianca Belair, but it also paid tribute to the Macho Man Randy Savage. Ooh yeah! So this Battle Royal didn't overstay its welcome, and it accomplished everything it needed to do. Yeah! Number 6, Jey Uso versus Roman Reigns. Well, for the first time since I started doing these ranking PLE match lists, the Bloodline storyline has not taken us to the #1 spot on this list. Now, anyone who's followed my WWE content over the last 3 years knows that I am a huge Bloodline fan, but when it comes to this match, it fell a little bit short of the glory for me. Unlike most matches involving the Bloodline, where a slow pace builds into a fast-paced action-packed match, the slow pace of this match seemed to remain throughout. This match had some issues as well from a creative standpoint. For example, the match was called Tribal Combat, but there were no decorations or weapons of Samoan culture around the ring. It's honestly just like when WWE did the Nigerian drum fight match at WrestleMania 37 between Apollo Crews and Big E, where there were very little to no items of Nigerian culture surrounding the ring. Also, while I've been very critical of the trope of Roman Reigns relying on shenanigans during the match, this time a lot of it felt like Roman was just barking orders to Solo to do the work for him. Then of course there's the finish of Jimmy Uso after talking such a big game of what families should and shouldn't do, attacking his own brother Jey to cost him the match and allow Roman Reigns to retain the undisputed WWE Universal Championship. Now, by the time this video is released, WWE will have most likely booked Jimmy Uso to explain why he turned on Jey Uso. However, in the moment right then and there, it certainly left me with mixed feelings, as I knew it was coming given WWE's lengthy history of telling these types of sibling betrayals, but still, I did not want it to happen either, as I felt it would be nonsensical, even though the WWE certainly did plant seeds for this throughout the storyline. Plus, I still wish Roman Reigns would have won clean, to solidify him as a dominant champion even without the Bloodline. But I go more in depth about this angle in my review of WWE SummerSlam 2023. However, when it comes to this main event, I didn't think it was bad, but I didn't think it was among the greats that the Bloodline stories have offered us. And I also have to admit that there really is nothing else for the Usos to do as a tag team. Once you've been the longest reigning tag team champions in WWE history and main evented with those titles at WrestleMania, there really is nowhere else to go. So even though I was there in person to finally witness the Bloodline story after nearly 3 years, this match was just good enough to make the middle of the list, as I feel our next top 5 entries told their respective stories better and in a shorter but more exciting period of time. Number 5. Gunther versus Drew McIntyre. The top 5 spot on this list kicks off with 2 of the most hard-hitting superstars in WWE. The match was a solid showcase of hard-hitting action and athleticism from 2 big men wrestlers. Now, while I rate this match within the top 5 best matches of this event, I didn't feel it quite reached the heights of Gunther's match with Sheamus at Clash of the Castle, or even him and Drew's match with Sheamus at WrestleMania 39 and that triple threat match. But still, it was a very serviceable, solid, hard-hitting match that further continued to rebuild the prestige of the Intercontinental Championship, especially with that finish, as Gunther and Drew are standing on the top rope, followed by Gunther pushing Drew into crotching himself on the top rope, then delivering a second splash, picking Drew up to give him a devastating clothesline, then quickly going into a powerbomb on Drew to finish him off for the 1, 2, 3. Clean wins like this is why the Ring General continues to be taken seriously by the WWE audience as the Intercontinental Champion, breaking the Honky Tonk Man's IC title record. Number 4. Logan Paul versus Ricochet. Oh man, regardless of how you feel about the man, there is no denying that Logan Paul is an amazing in-ring performer for someone of his inexperience. Put that with one of the best high-flying veterans in Ricochet. Only an exciting match full of high-flying action awaits. And oh man, did both of these guys deliver when it comes to the high aerial attacks and amazing displays of athleticism, as well as the tremendous counters after tremendous counters. Now, one of the most complaints I hear about modern day pro wrestling is that there are too many matches that feel like a high spot fest. However, I personally feel that if they can still work within the confines of the story that the characters are trying to tell within that square circle, it's not exactly a bad thing. And that's what the story of this match was from the beginning. Two men trying to athletically up one another. This even plays into the finish when Logan Paul basically says forget all this high flying stuff and uses his friend when the referee isn't looking to take a hold of some brass knucks, knocking out Ricochet for the 1-2-3 pin, then discarding away the evidence in his tights. Now, when you consider how the Ricochet character has been booked over the years, it might leave you to be like, what? Logan Paul actually needed to cheat in order to beat Ricochet? But this is actually a great thing, because if you're a Ricochet fan like myself, that means our boy was protected. And I say good because Ricochet has been one of the most talented in-ring performers in WWE over the last several years. So this opener did what it needed to do, which was to kick off SummerSlam in a hot way, thus giving Logan Paul a much needed win and keeping Ricochet looking strong. Also, shout out to WWE ring announcer and Ricochet's fiance Samantha Irving for doing a fantastic facial sell of disgust when Logan Paul taunted her after she announced him as the winner. Number 3, Cody Rhodes versus Brock Lesnar. While the build-up with this feud suffered from a lack of explanation from Brock Lesnar of why he even attacked Cody in the first place, to the point Cody himself in promos are mentioning this, as well as a string of repetitive pull-apart brawls and promo segments, I thought the previous 2 matches these guys had delivered, and this third one was no exception, even with the lack of a stipulation. Now, one of the most common complaints among fans about modern-day Brock Lesnar is that his moveset relies too heavily on the whole Suplex City shtick. Even for a fan like myself who grew up watching the Ruthless Aggression era Brock, I would love to see him break out some of those moves he did back then. But one of the things that I maintain that makes Brock Lesnar so great, even when he relies heavily on Suplex City, is the fact that he is definitely one of the best storytellers in WWE. And you see this showcased in this match as he's constantly being a ferocious beast, throwing Cody Rhodes around all over the place and constantly yelling to him, "Save yourself," which from a psychology standpoint would make sense in the match's aftermath. Also, as I mentioned many times, Brock Lesnar is such a great seller, as it really helped put over Cody Rhodes when he finally started making a comeback in this match by throwing any and everything in his arsenal at Brock Lesnar as he tries not only to survive, but thrive in victory over the beasts. The only negative thing I could think about this match is why wasn't Cody Rhodes disqualified when he hit Brock Lesnar with the steel steps? Last I heard, this was not a no DQ match, but by all means correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, if this was stated anywhere within the rules to be okay somewhere, but from what I remember, that's always been illegal. Still, I won't take away from what I thought was a fantastic finish that called back to their first match, thus allowing Cody to hit 3 crossroads and getting the big win over Brock Lesnar. Now, remember what I said earlier about Brock Lesnar being a great storyteller? Well, in what was revealed by Triple H at the press conference to be an unscripted moment, Brock Lesnar shakes hands, embraces, and raises the arm of Cody Rhodes as the Beast visually admits the American Nightmare has earned his respect. The last time I can remember this being done, you would have to go back 20 years ago at WrestleMania 19, where a young Brock Lesnar embraced Kurt Angle after defeating him for the WWE Championship in the main event. Now, while I did wish this story had better exploration, it did come off to me that this was what the story was meant to be. Brock Lesnar all along just wanting to test Cody and thus earning his respect in the end because he was defeated by him. Not too far different from SummerSlam 2005's ending when Shawn Michaels shook Hulk Hogan's hand and said that he only went to the dark side just because he wanted Hogan at his best, because he had to know who was the best between them. But most importantly, being there in the audience, you could feel the emotion all over Ford Field, as it was clear this moment signaled that Cody Rhodes really is the guy, possibly to take the championship from a certain someone at a certain milestone WrestleMania. Only time will tell. Number 2, Bianca Belair versus Charlotte Flair versus Asuka. You know it's going to be good when 3 of the best female performers in WWE are in a triple threat match. In the section that I was sitting in at Ford Field, I can tell you that we all were fully invested into this match. These 3 ladies went at it. There were so many twists to this match in terms of who would have the upper hand. The match had so many great counters, and the action was non-stop until we get to Bianca Belair selling the leg. And if we put aside Bianca forgetting for a moment which leg to sell, she really went all in on the selling. After all, no way else that awesome 450 splash spot on one good leg would have been possible. And the ending sequence to this match was fantastic, as Charlotte Flair gets Bianca in the figure 8, thus leaving Charlotte wide open to get sprayed by the mist from Asuka, which then causes Charlotte to fall to her back, now indirectly reverting the figure 8 into the figure 4, which leads Asuka to try and finish off Bianca with a kick while her legs are still tied up with Charlotte's legs. But Bianca is able to duck and roll up Asuka to score the 1, 2, 3, all while still being locked in the figure 4 leg lock, thus winning the WWE Women's Championship. Oh man, what a pleasant surprise for me, because I had no idea when I attended this show that I was going to actually see one of my modern day favorites, Bianca Belair, actually win the championship. It's a moment that I will truly cherish as a fan. These 3 women went out there and did their thing, and Bianca Belair's championship win leading to, as I mentioned at the start of this video, the number 1 moment of SummerSlam 2023 was just the icing on the cake, thus making this to me the second best match of the night. Number 1, Seth Rollins versus Finn Balor. Just like they put on an absolute banger of a match at SummerSlam 2016, here at SummerSlam 2023, Finn and Seth top themselves. From little story details like Finn Balor having 7 written across his shoulder that was injured from 7 years prior, to Seth Rollins trolling Finn by wearing the exact vest that he wore on that very night, or even Finn Balor hitting Seth with a buckle bomb into the barricade as payback. These were the nice subtle details that make a story in a match work. But of course, Finn Balor and Seth Rollins just going back and forth was always going to provide great action, even with both men hitting each other and kicking out of the pedigree. Even though fans who grew up watching Triple H like me knew that when he hit that pedigree, it was game over. But such is the way pro wrestling is nowadays. But once again, as great as the action was in this match, it was further enhanced by the story once Damian Priest and the Judgment Day got involved. I especially love how well executed the finish of this match was, with Damian Priest throwing in the Money in the Bank briefcase in an attempt to help Finn as he goes to distract the referee, which leads to us getting this awesome shot of Finn Balor deviously smiling and crawling over to the briefcase because victory is but only a grasp away, only to get caught off guard by Seth Rollins curb stomping Finn's head into the briefcase, followed by kicking the briefcase out of the ring and scoring the 1, 2, 3 to retain the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. And we get these awesome shots cutting back and forth of Damian Priest and Finn Balor giving each other death stares. Finn's look saying, "You screwed me over," and Damian's look saying, "Nah, you screwed yourself." and I got no sympathy for you. Now, I personally thought Finn Balor would have been a much better fit to win this match, given the potential storytelling drama of Finn Balor constantly having to worry about both defending the title successfully against his opponent while trying to keep eyes in the back of his head for Damian Priest, potentially stabbing him in the back with a cash-in. However, this match still delivered enough to me to make it the #1 match of SummerSlam 2023. Now, for a more in-depth analysis of the event, check out my review of WWE SummerSlam 2023. Also, please comment below to let me know what your rankings for these matches are, as well as like, share, comment, and subscribe, followed by hitting the notification bell so that you are notified when I release new content. Thanks for watching.